Hello and welcome to Camberg. This is Dresden's Tale, episode 49. It's chapter 47 of volume 2. This is the show where we follow Dresden Fane. He's not a drinker, but may occasionally have a conversation with hallucinated hounds. Our story exists in the violence of the Keld culture, where warriors are common and battles are not. I'm your guide through this confusing landscape, Lewis Nichols. I'd say Lorne, the great crafter, is one of the more central gods to our story. The god of all things manufactured is almost always conceptualized as male, though it should be noted the Kelds don't usually think about their gods in a flesh and blood capacity. Really, what a Keld calls a god is a highly amorphous subject. I mean, how often can you describe a religion as being monotheistic with a pantheon of 24 distinct divine entities? The Kelds are a pragmatic people, focused on the real world, yet utterly committed to doing all they do in the name of the gods. Maybe it's because they're just scared of them. I guess if you're going to be afraid of something, a god or group of them is as good a choice as any. We haven't run into any direct examples of it yet, but there is plenty of reason to fear. Before I get too sidetracked, let's get back to Lorne and why he's important to us. The obvious reason is Dresden's master. Nanok is a very influential high priest in the southern churches. Another is his general presence in the world. The vision of a good Keld being both a warrior and a craftsman puts him center stage in many respects. Nearly every Keld is part of at least one guild, and local churches of Lorne almost always run the guilds. Given the skill system and the training bonuses priests of Lorne get, mid-rank followers begin to excel in their chosen crafts. Priests and wardens of Lorne tend to be the best woodworkers, metalsmiths, and stonemasons around. The last reason we love Lorne, of course, is the food. Despite yesterday's trouble, I'm confident we can find Dresden. Find the sticky buns, and he'll never be far away. It's the high holy day of Lorne, Ebbas 20th, 2052 years after the fall. We must be bold to accomplish great things, a priest of Lorne called out, his voice echoing from the buildings surrounding the square. That's the fourth tenet of the duality, Dresden explained. Ralph squawked, Yeah, we know the tenets. Still mad? We're not mad, Karen told him. I'm just glad you're okay. Fanghorn snorted. Oh yeah, sometimes a man's just gotta work things out. Like I'm gonna work the edge off that Campbell's chin if he doesn't quit looking over here. Drums and horns created a rhythm that drove the entire festival. Bards and callers told the story of past battles and great feats of engineering. They spoke of the canal building projects along the Gaelic and plans to dredge it out, making the river wider and deeper. Great forts were to be constructed in Tarikia and on the Vool side of the gate. Meanwhile, food was everywhere. Fruits, meats, cheeses, breads. Most of the food was familiar to Dresden, but they did have things in the north he'd never seen nor tasted. Donald handed Dresden another piece of lamb. They were all worried sick about you. You found me easy enough. Because you finally came back to the room, Orrin yelled. Dresden shrugged it off. You should have known I'd be back to the room for sleep sooner or later. Unless you were dead, Ralph explained. I suppose, was the dwarf's only answer. Listen, enjoy the day. This is one of my favorite high holy days. Orrin grumbled. Just because of all the food. Nothing wrong with some good eats, Dinger said. He wrapped his arm around Karen and gave her a kiss. As he let her go, he made sure he rubbed against her breast and swatted her ass. Oh, yeah! She giggled and made to grope him back, but he danced away, putting up his fists in a boxer's stance to protect himself. Dirty stoners, a nearby mountain folk said loud enough to be heard. He's with friends, a lot of friends, so none of Dresden's group did more than glare. We should try to tone it down, Dresden said. This is their city. I'm not acting fancy for a bunch of prudes, Fanghorn told him, but Karen punched him in the chest. As you wish, Dresden. You're the boss. Dresden grabbed a pair of sweet rolls from a table and announced, I'm going to see if the offices are open at the gate. Maybe they have some news. Orrin's head sunk. It's a long way to the top of that hill. Well, you shouldn't have eaten a whole sheep, Karen teased. Dresden, I'm glad you're feeling better. The dwarf looked at her. I'm not really, but now I feel like I will, eventually. Halfway up the slope, it started to rain. At least it's somewhat warm, Donald said. Otherwise, it would be a shitty place to spend any time at all. We're not much liked here. You noticed that too? Ralph grumbled. I thought they just didn't like reptiles. They are very human-eccentric, Donald acknowledged. Especially strange since there's so many Minotaur in Tikara who call Tarikia home. They're closed, Orrin complained. All that walking for nothing. The group watched as wagon after wagon passed through the gate. Dresden noticed the horses wore blinders, making it easier for them to walk into the cliff face. It was strange enough for him to watch, and he understood what was happening. How did you ever teach an animal to walk gracefully into a wall? He noticed the priests of Jessa milling around the caravan. Perhaps the handler of the beasts granted some powers to her followers, making the feat easier to accomplish. We're pretty well out of money, Donald pointed out. We need to get through that gate. Dresden grunted. How did we go through so much money? Aside from your binge, Ralph complained. Living on coin is expensive. Be glad you've never had to deal with it before. I'll offer my services again. That will keep us going. Fanghorn tossed a small bag at Dresden. He never saw it coming, and it hit the ground. Oh, yeah. I've got enough to keep us going for a couple of days. If you're not with us when they call the names for the gate, we're screwed. Well, they're just moving freight today. We should have signed on as caravan guards, Ralph thought. Donald shook his head. Campbell clan only. Now, what's this guy going on about? This clan did not come to Tarikia to found a city. We didn't come to tame the jungle or dig ditches in the mud. Chief Campbell led us all here to move to Vool. Vool is Campbell. The Campbells are Vool. The crowd reaction was mixed. Some shouted approval. Others were obviously content with their lives in the city. The doomed are already there, with Gulfport controlling the gate to Imbus. The Stone is there, and their city of Brave Rock controlling the Shriek Oasis and the mines of the Lucrid Hills. But I don't blame them. We let this happen. We took them as partners where no partnership was needed. These clans have their own concerns. Vool is ours. Now there are many other opportunities. I call on Chief Campbell to withdraw from the Cadiz Accords. We will convert the Hailvron, the Duffy, and all the people of Vool ourselves. Why would we do any different? We are powerful. Let us act as though we are. It is not for us to prop up the weaker clans. We are Keld. It is for us to grasp the mantle and lead our faith to great things. We were late to build a navy. Now we pay the price with invasion. We've called upon the foreign element to help us drive them back when we should have needed no help at all. I call on Chief Campbell to declare the whole of Vool his territory. This is not a race, not a competition. These lands are already ours. Tell your friends, tell your clansmen, the time for Campbell complacency must end. Dresden led his troop back down the hill. The sooner we get through that gate, the better. Nothing like a little rabble-rousing to get your day stirred up. Wouldn't the world be a boring place if it wasn't for those few guys that just have to rock the boat? It might be almost peaceful. We are Keld, and peace is for the wimps we conquer. Hopefully, the Campbells will focus on the Itarians. That's the usual story, right? A people united against a common enemy. Don't forget to comment down below. Who will the real enemy be next year? Will fellow Kelds unite or fracture? After all, we are the bad guys. Aren't we supposed to lose? Don't count on it, baby. We're just getting started. Don't miss out on the thrilling conclusion of Season 2. Barring disaster or too much napping, Season 3 is just around the corner. Thank you all for stopping by. You didn't have to listen, but you did, and I appreciate it. Do that stuff. Like, subscribe, and comment. Tell your friends. I'm Lewis Nichols, and I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day.